Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Sonia McGowan with Covenant Integrative Health, and we are here for our monthly Facebook Live event, and I'm so glad that you are with us. So, I have one of my favorite humans in the whole world. This is Bethany Pringer. Hi, Bethany.
Hello.
So, we are here to talk about primarily her daughter, but really kind of her whole family. So, Bethany, just tell us about you, what you do, and tell me about your family.
Yeah. I am a mom of two kids. I have Estella, who is 6, and Clinton, who is 8. And I'm married to Wes, and we farm and do lots of fun things. And we really enjoy being around our family. And we came to know this amazing place through Estella first. And so that's how we became with Dr. Sonia and got everything kind of established there.
Okay, so you were having some concerns about
Yeah.
Estella, pretty like you were deeply concerned about a lot of things. So tell us what she was showing you that really made you go, because you're a teacher, that's important
Yeah.
for the folks
Yeah.
to know. So
Yeah.
you were really keenly aware. So kind of tell us what was going on with her that really made you stop and go, I think we better find some help.
Yeah. I was an educator for 10 years. And so I kind of knew where we needed to be. And my brain works in the education sense of, I knew how important books were and I knew kind of where we needed to be going into school and things like that. So Estella's my second born. And everybody always joked that girls and boys were so different raising. But I never really truly realized that until I had one of each. But Estella was born in December of 2019. And so it was kind of in the middle of where COVID kind of started, I was off on maternity leave with her. And so I got to spend a lot of time with her and which was fabulous. But also I really honed in on kind of what was happening and how things were progressing. So one of the things that we really noticed was, her hair didn't grow. She didn't have a haircut until she was almost 2.5 or 3 years old. Just didn't grow. It was really, really short on one side. She ate dirt. You'd play outside, and I was like, oh, some kids eat things on their hands, right? But it was a very much like I am going to be purposeful, and I was going to go and consume this because it almost was like she was like craving it. One of the other things that we really noticed was we knew she was low in iron and we were working through that. But we didn't realize how bad that situation actually was or how much it was kind of impacting her. So Estella was really sluggish. She was very, very, when you wake up in the morning, she had no energy. It was like she didn't even sleep. It was, you know, some people say they're bears in the morning, but she was very, very like, what personality are we going to get today? What are we going to have, the one who really wants to be energetic and interact with us? Or are we going to have the one that's like, can't even hardly function? And so we didn't really know any different. That's how she had been. She had some night terrors going on. So a night terror is kind of like night wakings where you just wake up and you just kind of yell in your sleep. It's like you're having a nightmare, but she's not awake. She doesn't realize she's awake. So you go in there and you wouldn't know she wasn't awake. You just hear it over the baby monitor of her kind of going crazy. And so we were dealing with that kind of stuff. And then throughout the day, she just had no energy, kind of pale, kind of just couldn't function. She wasn't picking up on normal standard kid things. We had some concerns about her ability to progress in school. So would she do well? Would she be able to pick up sight words and read and do our normal math things? And it's like she just didn't have the brain function or even ability. She just shut down. It's like her brain could not function and could not figure out what was happening. So there was a lot of stuff going on. We had the sleep thing. We had her eating foreign objects. We had her body. She was really small. She wasn't growing. We never had any like those really big growth spurts, and we never had any of those milestones. Looking back, we never hit the why stage, the questioning of the why stage. Why this? Why this? Why this? Her brain just was not progressing to where we thought that it should be. We were just concerned academically of what was going on and if she would have the ability to do that kind of stuff. We did have some speech delays too. And so it was just a lot going on. And it was one of those times where you just didn't really know where to start. There were survival mode, and you knew that it wasn't normal, but you didn't know what her normal. Our unnormalness, and trying to figure out how to make that work, and try to find out who Estella was. We didn't. It was, as we've progressed through all of this, it's just been interesting to see her personality and kind of see where she has blossomed.
So, where did you start with to find help? A pediatrician, I'm guessing?
Yeah, so we started there, and they helped us with the iron problem, and they established that. And then this is kind of crazy, but we had parasites, and which is probably from eating the dirt. And she actually had them twice, which is mind blowing to me. You don't like to say out loud that your child had parasites, but it's something that's a lot more common, and I realize that nobody really talks about it. It happens, right? Especially when you know it happens because you've seen it in your child. And so we started there, and we wanted to dig deeper into the iron problem and why we were getting the parasites. We'd actually had them twice at that point when we came to Dr. Sonia. And so we were just concerned that we were stuck. We were concerned that we weren't ever going to get the help that we needed. We were concerned that this was going to be our normal. And don't Google it. It's not good.
Right.
But and so I didn't even know somewhere like this existed. I had some friends who had been here and done some stuff. And so that's kind of how we just wanted more. We wanted to be, we just didn't want to be a prescription forever. We didn't want to be on a health plan of medicine forever. We wanted to fix the root problem and not just fix the complications from our issues. And so we really wanted to dig into why this was happening, and is it all connected? What can we do from there?
So she didn't have any sort of diagnosis yet, either educationally or medically, other than really just the parasites and the low iron.
No.
Okay. Okay. So what I remember
Correct.
when
Yep.
you go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, she just had the low iron and the parasites, and then your concerns, like the gut feeling as your mom, like something's not right, but I don't know what it is.
So I remember when you brought her for the first time. I mean, first of all, she's the cutest stinking kid in the land. Like, oh my gosh, you just want to so super cute. But what I remember most is that she laid down like all the time. She laid on the table.
Yeah.
She laid back on the crash pad. Like most kids her age are like whirling dervishes. They're all over. They're looking at all the toys. They're jumping on the trampoline. They're up and down off the table. They're, wanting to run down the hallway. And Estella was just happiest when I left her be because she was just a really sort of low energy, sort of low tone, kind of squishy, just sort of like, just let me be is what I kind of the big thing that I remember about her, other than being sweet and cute and really wanting to please me and, all of those things. So let's talk about what we did. What tests did we do?
We did some stool tests to check with the parasites, and we did blood test, which was the most, I don't want to say the most cool thing, but it was just neat to see where you actually compared. There was no guesswork. There was no, we talked about some of her outward things that were going on, and we just connected the dots. And so it was neat to see all those things come in play and be able to actually know that we had a starting point, because we didn't know a starting point existed. Like you talked about Estella just laying there. That was our normal. We didn't know there was a kid that could exist outside of that.
Right. And so we found a lot of things that we have worked on
Yeah.
over time. Tell
Yeah.
me some of the, or tell our audience some of the things that we found with her.
Yeah, so she was extremely low in iron. She could not, essentially, she could not store iron, and she was not absorbing iron from her food, and so therefore her immune system was essentially not functioning. She could not function with her immune system. She couldn't sleep. We were not processing anything we ate. Estella was really, I don't want to say craving, I'm almost addicted to carbs and high sugar because her body needed these nutrients, but she wasn't being able to process them. So we have been on iron and vitamin 3. We've been on a probiotic to help our gut because it was essentially wrecked from all of the lack of everything and all of that kind of stuff. And we were on some. We take this stuff with orange juice, and it's the sonic cholesterol and the mitochore, and we can tell a difference to currently when she does not take her sonic cholesterol and her mitochore. Like on the weekends, if we don't take it at the same time, we can tell a difference to almost the hour of when her body does not function because it allows her body to do all the things that it should and needs to do. We also noticed an improvement in her sleep. So her sleep went away. Her night terrors went away once we figured out the iron in that situation. But the best part and we were also on a few gummies too that were helping her. But all of it was just so neat because it actually, like, we took the blood work, we did that, and it actually helped her establish, like, I don't know, a new kid. Dr. Sonia and I talked about how we went back and her brain would catch up then, and we hit that Y stage, and we hit she has like a different personality now, and she doesn't lay down anymore. She actually like gets up and wants to move, and those academic concerns have disappeared because her brain, like, you can literally, before you could see her try to think, and I think that was the scariest as a mom. I could see her, I could ask her a question, and I could see her brain wanting to function and wanting to think, but she just couldn't. It's like it did not jump from her brain to like her processes. Like it was scary because you could see and you didn't know how to help her. And then after putting on all that stuff, she went through kindergarten and she did outstanding and flying colors, and where I don't know if that would have been the case when we started in August.
So one of the main things we found with her on a urine test was that her cells couldn't make energy.
Yeah.
So she had a lot of really severe deficiencies, and then her whole Krebs cycle, to say shut down is too much, but it was really, really struggling, that Krebs cycle, to make that cellular energy, which explains so much, right? Because she was missing B vitamins and antioxidants and iron. Her cholesterol was really, really low, like really low. And so
Like non-existent.
it was so, like, I remember going over the results with you, and like you were just like, what? Like, I promise I feed her. Like, why is this the situation? And so when you think, kind of when you zoom out and think about this from a biochemical standpoint, her little processes, her biochemical pathways just weren't clicking.
Mm-mm.
And so that makes sense then, right? Because she had poor intestinal absorption. She was tired all the time. She couldn't sleep well because her iron was so low. I mean, there were just so many pieces of the puzzle that when we did the urine, the stool, and the blood test, then, okay, here are all those pieces. How do we prioritize it and fix it? And so another thing that I remember is one of our visits when, like, it hit you about the educational stuff, the academic stuff, and you were just petrified as a teacher, right?
I was,
You
yeah.
knew she wasn't where she needed to be at that point in kindergarten. And I mean, you were terrified of, is this going to get better, or is she going to be labeled with some sort of learning disability?
Yeah, I was very concerned, especially having a child before her. I kind of knew what was expected in that grade, and I knew kind of what we'd almost have to know going in, and what she would have to know along the way, and what my other child what Clinton had knew going in, and what we had worked on at home, and as we worked on those things at home, there was just no interest. They talk about those, that brain just couldn't absorb anything and couldn't function. And so there was a lot of concern there because that kindergarten is a basic building year, and you grow so much within that year, and nobody ever wants to see their child struggle. And so that was one of the main things, is that I knew that if we were to stay in our current path, we would struggle, and we wouldn't make it the way we were going, and it was not going to be just because her brain couldn't, like you said, her body could not convert things the way they needed to. That information went in, but it didn't go anywhere because essentially her body was in survival mode. There was no energy left to be able to even think about a word, or even adding simple numbers. 1 + 1 is 2. It was just a blank look when you would have her do simple tasks, or even completing like chores, and things like that, at that age. But it just did not compute of what she could do, just because her body just didn't, it physically did not have the energy to make that happen.
So it makes you logically wonder how many kids are identified with some sort of educational diagnosis when really it's a physical thing, right? Because that probably would have
Yeah.
been Estella's fate, honestly, was she probably would have gotten some sort of label as, with a learning disability or worse. But really, it's not about her ability to learn. It was her body's lack of biochemical pathways that were happy and healthy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It was 100% her body not able to support itself.
Well, I love when you guys come in, because you come in for ion cleanse foot baths sometimes.
Yeah.
And the last couple of times, like, all I can do is just sit with my mouth hanging open because she's literally like a different child who walks in that door.
Oh, 100%. Yes. Yeah, it's almost we've almost had to parent 180,
Mm,
because she doesn't, like you said, she just doesn't sit there anymore. I had one kid a year and a half ago when we started this journey, and now I have a totally different amazing kid. And then amazing was both times, like you said, but um we don't have to have scheduled like rest times, because her body just can't function. She doesn't just break down and just cry out of frustration because she can't do it. Because when she was in those phases, she was aware that it wasn't the way it was supposed to be, but you didn't know how to help her because you didn't know what was wrong. You didn't know how to fix it, because like you said, she couldn't tell you, hey, I don't know how to read because my body just can't comprehend it. Hey, I can't sleep, or I'm not sleeping well, so I can't do what you're asking me because I don't know, because my brain just hurts. And I think she was telling us in her own way. But yeah, she's just a totally different kid. She has interests and hobbies now, and whereas before, she was just surviving. And
mhm.
yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. One of the last times you came in, she was really proud of her sparkly shoes, and she was
Yeah.
showing me that. And she had her little bag with all of her little stuff in it. And she was showing me her dolls and just chatter and talk and talk and talk. And she sat up the whole time, like
Yeah.
she didn't need to lay down. Her eye contact, her language, like it literally, like I just had to sit down for a minute. I almost got a little verklempt because I'm like, look at the difference of this
Yeah.
kid. Like
And
it's
she actually has
mind blowing.
color in her face.
Oh
We've had
yeah.
haircuts, like her body's actually, looking back too, we never cut her fingernails a lot because you didn't, they just didn't grow because they didn't have that like, what your body needed to grow your hair and your fingernails. And now I'm like, I've never cut a kid's hair so much in my life, Like,
And so she just finished her kindergarten year, right?
yep.
And how did that go?
It went so good. Um More better than I ever imagined. We started this process with you in kindergarten. And so I think we had our first initial consult, like right at, like, I think we had all the blood work, we were going into like August, and I remember sitting with you and being like, I'm scared. I'm scared how it's going to go. I think I probably even cried. And
You did.
so it's, but going, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Um, the year went so good, but we are very diligent about making sure that we stay on top of things. You told us to do something and we did it. We worked out a plan and we checked in and we changed things as we needed to. And I think that partnership made such a big difference. We were able to work together and she didn't fall behind. She did everything she was supposed to be able to do. She can write her name and we sang in the spring concerts, and her personality came through and she wore all of her sparkly fun pink dresses and her shoes and we did all the field trips and we never had to take time out and be like, you know what, we just have to rest because your body can't go. They had 2 recesses a day. They had, PE, art, or music. And never once did I have to say, you know what, like, you just have to maybe just sit out a little bit because your body just can't make it, and I think that would have been our fate. That 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock slump would have been her fate if we had not done all of this, maybe even 10 o'clock. We would not have made it a full day. We were not making it a full day before kindergarten where you were just done. I remember we'd get in the car and she would just fall asleep, but before we started all of our protocols, and she'd just fall asleep. But when she got up, she wasn't rested. It wasn't like it was a good, oh, I had a nap and now let's go go play on the playground and do all the stuff. It was more of I had a nap and now I need another one. But we're exactly where we need to be. Our numbers are good. We've identified sight words. We're reading our small reading books, and there was no questions about her moving on to first grade. And, and that was so amazing is we literally saw all these supplements and these protocols and the blood work and the test, we saw them work. Which is just, she wouldn't be my Estella, she just wouldn't be the Estella she is today if we didn't have all that.
How did she feel about her supplements?
Well, she is 6, but we did a really good job of communicating, and you did a really good job of me being like, she does not take that. She will not take that one. Can we have a second option? And she did really good. But really, all the supplements are really kid friendly. We take the Sonic cholesterol and the Mitocore in orange juice. We just open up the capsules, and I just stir it up with my little blender, and she takes that great. And you worked with us to make sure to figure out how to do that. She takes that one stuff and the stuff in the black bottle, it's like the flavored stuff, we figured out it's the black bottle stuff, we figured out which flavor, was the most popular and she does really good because she knows it makes her feel better. And so she's not opposed to taking them because she knows it makes her feel better, but also you did a really good job of making sure that there were kid-friendly ones. We did the gummy ones. We did, I don't know how many of the fish oil ones we tried, and different stuff, things like that. I was like, well, that one's a nice little fish shape, but it tastes terrible,
Right.
And so, but she does really good. Now, is there some bribing involved? Do we get her a stuffed animal every once in a while? Sure. But overall, she is not opposed to taking her medicine. She is aware that it makes her feel better. And we also have worked hard to find stuff that works for her.
Well, and you and Wes are the parents, and Clinton and Estella are the children. There's no in between there, right? Your expectation is this is what we do.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And, you don't say, oh, I don't want to traumatize her.
No.
Or, this is what you need. So this is what we're going to do. And that is super important. And it's what's missing for a lot of kids. I mean, honestly. So this is not something insurance covers. This is something you have to pay for out of pocket. And it hasn't necessarily been cheap. Right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So each test could be several $100s to do that. But Dr. Sonia and her whole office does a really good job of being very upfront. Would you like to do one test right now? Do you want to wait till the next month and maybe do another test? Honestly, for us, it was never a question of if we were going to do it. It was just, we're going to do it, because we understood how, and I don't even want to use the word scary, but how scary the situation actually was, or how intense the situation actually was. Because we had an older child. We knew that she couldn't keep up. And at 2, 3, 4, he was much more active and was doing much more things. And we knew that there was something wrong. And so our fear was really, we didn't want this situation to lead to something else. And so we were really willing to invest in this. We were willing to say, you know what, this is something that we believe in. This is something that we want to explore. And we don't want insurance to dictate whether or not it's going to tell us what we can do with our lives and our medical needs and our children. And so, yes, maybe we cut back in some other ways, because supplements are not cheap, but you guys do a really good job too of testing every 3 months and saying, okay, like, this is what we're going to do. A lot of times you can buy the supplements in 60 or 90-day increments. And so we are very mindful of, okay, we're going to buy this. And then we know that we're going to go back for a blood test in 3 months. And it's something that we are committed to because we can see the changes. It's something that we believe in. And if we didn't do it now, what would we be paying for later? Why, like, you only get one Estella, right? And so if we didn't invest in her now, what kind of quality of life would she have down the road? Or what would all of this iron deficiency lead to? Or what would the sleep, sleep is so important and linked to so many different things. What would that lack of sleep lead to? And what would we be seeing down the road to have to fix, and maybe just put a Band-Aid over and not actually fix the underlying cause. So for us, it was an investment, but we knew the investment up front, and we were willing to take the investment on, and we were willing to say, yes, we want to do it, because we believe in the process.
And I'd say you got your money's worth.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We never once said, no, we don't. No. Yeah. No, it was never once did we believe that we got overcharged or we didn't get what we paid for. Yeah. No, I've been nothing but happy.
One of the things I say to parents a lot is, and you said it just in a different phrase, you have to choose your hard. Mm-hmm. So it can be hard right now to pay for some tests and some blood work and some office visits, or it can be hard when you get a diagnosis that you don't want, or when you have, new behaviors, or your kid gets held back a grade or whatever. So, you have to choose your hard. And that's just exactly what you did.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So now she finished kindergarten. She's getting ready for summer. She'll go right into first grade, doing great. She's happy. She's healthy. I mean, she still needs her supplements, right? And hopefully she won't forever. But for right now, we're just kind of going with it and changing her protocol as the labs tell us and as her behavior tells us. But she's rocking it.
Yeah. Yeah. What did we say the last visit? We've progressed to maintenance and not just, yeah. And I don't want to, it's just amazing that happened. I just never even thought that we started this process, and it just seemed to not imagine going back to where we were. Like, I just cannot imagine.
It really changed her whole trajectory of her life, honestly. Oh, got a little hiccup here on the audio. So it really changed her trajectory of her whole life.
Oh yeah, 100%. And ours. I mean, our whole family, you would do events based on, if Estella could last that long, or if she could keep up, right? You might not do the physical activities for so long because, you didn't know if her body would be able to function. And so, I mean, yeah, like, we're able to take, adventures and just enjoy Estella.
I love it. It's the best thing in the whole world. Like that I get to come to work and do that every day.
Oh, and we appreciate you.
So you are actually a patient, and so is your husband, and you have both yourselves seen some nice changes in your own health.
Yeah. So after seeing Estella and kind of the way that it all worked too, I think Wes and I had both a joint first appointment, and so you got to hang out with us both together. But yeah, so Wes and I both came in and got all the stuff done too, and there were some things as a mom from my side perspective that, so I had kids and I had nursed for so long, and especially with Estella and taking care of her for so many years after. I know that I had let some of my stuff slide. And so coming in and getting the help and the blood work, you're like, oh yeah, that all makes a lot more sense on my end as well. Please give me all of the supplements and the medicine that you have helped her with so that I can be good as well. And so, yeah, Wes and I both really enjoy our visits as well. And I can say that, you don't know how good it can be until you've worked through the process and knowing those, looking at those lab results and looking at all the stuff and the urine test and the, my allergies. Like I remember you told me I had like a staph infection up here, and I was like, oh my gosh, you just saved my life. Like, but just the stuff that you knew was wrong with you, but you didn't know that there was a word for it or how to fix it or, once again, and it just it's been so good, and so, yeah, so Estella gets to come in, and then Wes and I get to come in, and we all just get to hang out together.
So if you were to give some advice to parents who they just get this feeling, something's not quite right with my kid or myself, even as an adult.
Yeah.
Something's just not quite right. What would you say? What's your best advice?
Oh, I would ask more questions. I dig deeper. Just because you don't have words for it doesn't mean that there's nothing wrong. So like find the people that will listen to you. Find the people that will ask more questions. Find the people that will do the test. I think my first words for you is I know I have problems, but I don't know if you can help me. But let's just start here. And I think I just word vomited. And so, your kids, like, yourself. And if you think something is wrong, it is worth exploring because that was put there for a reason. You the most, or your kids the most. And so I would really just encourage everybody. They can tell you nothing's wrong. And if you don't like the answer, keep exploring deeper, like get somebody that's going to support it with facts and not just words, like I remember coming to you and you said, well, yeah, we can test for it. And then we can go from there. It might be something else, or it might be this. And so it was just nice to be like, we can figure it out, not just you're fine because you're of this age or this thing, it was more of a, we can look into it type of thing. Like if you believe that, then we can go for it. And that was the nice thing that was being able to be heard because, nobody wants to be, if you think something's wrong, you just want to be listened to. And so that was what was nice.
Well, I love it. That's great advice. And I'm just so happy that Estella finished kindergarten. Like I'm so proud of her. I just love her so much. And your whole family's fantastic. So I appreciate that you trusted us with your kid and that we've just, wow, it's just so good.
It's been great. Really great.
Well, thanks for joining us. I'm sure that our folks have really enjoyed hearing your family story, and I appreciate your time and your trust. And yeah, you're just an amazing mom, and Wes is a great husband and dad, and you guys have a fantastic family. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, guys. Thanks. Have a good day.